I'm on till I'm on an island. My life's riding on autobahn, I'm on a pilot. Before I touch dirt, I kill y'all with kindness. I kill ya. My natural design is much worse. You've been born if you've been born.
Bryan Lambert is a unique character with an eccentric personality that deserves to be celebrated through the pageantry of film. Enjoy.
The complex character known as Bryan Lambert was born on December 1st of 1945, the son of a Jewish mother and a second mother named Elton John. The two tried to raise him in a healthy environment in their log cabin in Mississippi. However, tragedy struck at a young age when a gang of rabid wolverines snuck onto the encampment and stole his parents away. It is commonly assumed that the wolverines used them to join in their ill-fated rebellion against the Sasquatch. Such was the difficult times of pre-World War II era England. Eventually, Mr. Lambert was able to get over his past childhood troubles and become the very first Prime Minister of the country of Uganda. The country very soon fell to economic collapse during his reign, and he is commonly known as the worst of its short term of rulers. But enough about his early life. Now we must delve into the intricate labyrinth starring David Bowie of his mind.
This is a picture of when I first met Bryan. We were mountain climbing in the Himalayas at the time. I was a busty 24-year-old college co-ed named Linda. He was a burly mustachioed man named Jorge Guadalajara. We met while climbing the Rocky Mountains, which a lot of people don't know are actually in the Himalayas. I looked over at him and I said, "You are the most exquisite figure I've ever seen in my life." And he looked over at me and said, I never saw him for another 20 years until our sophomore chemistry class, where he was our lab partner. And a story that I remember very clearly is one that I probably can't say for legal reasons because Bryan would probably get in a lot of trouble for it. But a different story that I can tell is one day our anonymous chemistry teacher decided to split up our lab group. So Bryan was taking this particularly hard, and we had a scalpel on the table. And what happened was he was holding the scalpel and shaking with pure rage that I've never seen captured in another human being's face before. And I said, Bryan, it's okay. It's not a big deal. He said, "I'm gonna do something I should have done a long time ago." And he gets up from the table, and across the room, our chemistry teacher is doing an experiment, and he just stands behind our chemistry teacher with the scalpel in hand and just stays like this for like 10 minutes. Eventually we were able to subdue him and bring him back to the table, but I'll never forget the day that I almost saw a man commit first-degree murder in front of me. The 70s were dark times.
I do not recall the first time I met Mr. Lambert. He was in my CP camp, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And last year?
2 years ago.
Okay. I just remember Mr. Lambert as breaking a lot of glassware.
I don't. I want to break the rule. I've been stuck in monotony.
Bryan, you haven't been in a film before.
Break out.
Your sisters won't even stab me.
12.
Give this pencil.
How you doing, man? Okay. Bryan. How you doing? Want these scissors?
Sure.
You say my memory?
Yep.
So I remember freshman year baseball, he got hit in the mouth playing right field. And he comes back on the bench and Deb goes, "Oh, you gotta go to the hospital." And he goes, "But the Bruins are on tonight. How am I gonna miss that?" I just thought that was funny. That's what I remember. Kevin, do you have a memory?
I also got hit in the head with baseball. We both got hit in the face. We kind of made a bond over that. Bryan really enjoys watching National Geographic. It's a long time. That's all I'm going to say about it.
Not today, Windows.
Short stories, playwriting, poetry.
Like each or like all together?
All together.
Oh.
So think of it as a documentary.
We're filming our Crazy Bryan documentary.
Some of us aren't. Sure.
I'm self-conscious about my body.
Don't you like?
Alright, so what was your first impression of Bryan Lambert?
Goofy kid. Silly.
Any funny stories that you have about Bryan, or?
I hear there's plenty of rumors going around about Bryan Lambert and incidents in my class, but funny stories.
Are there any
Not that
specifics?
come to mind. I mean, they're all pretty.
Are there any specifics to these rumors that you've heard? Or?
Let's ignore that question right now. They're not true.
Okay.
They're not true.
All right.
Whatever happened there, it's not with rumors.
All right. And final question: Harvey Dent, can he be trusted?
Never.
American. 3 years ago, Bryan Lambert was accused of it all started in physics class. First off, I'm not going to deny or like agree that he actually. It's just going to be, your opinion. But physics class freshman year, there was a debate whether I had a six-pack or not. So I proceeded to, do that, and he took his finger and stuck it in my belly button.
It's okay. You're among friends now.
I was a little traumatized at first, but I realized it happens, Life gave me lemons, I made lemonade. Doesn't apply, but what are you gonna do? Kind of brings back a lot of memories. Sorry. But, 3 years later, me and Bryan we're best buds,
With children.
I love those kids and they love me.
In what context?
I like to think that I've touched them in some way.
Metaphorically?
Some way.
So what do you do with the wine, Bryan?
I kind of make sure the children don't end up stabbing themselves with the wheat thins. Basically, that's always an issue.
Really?
Charlie and what's his name? Taylor. Charlie and Taylor, they always fight over the Gotham Lego City playset, and so that's always an issue. I have to break that up. It's like Abraham Lincoln trying to keep the North and the South together.
That's a good analogy.
And then there's just Tia. Tia makes me think dark thoughts.
What dark things?
Ones I can't say on film. When you can't find my phones. I need my headphones, Bobby.
The Indiana Jones movie with the aliens in it.
Yeah.
He has those heads where they have the heads that stretch out behind them, and Bryan Lambert has that.
I remember one time, me and Bryan were going to the library to check out some Harry Potter books. See, at the time, Harry Potter was like this huge thing. I know now it's kind of died off, but back it was huge, man. It was huge. So me and Bryan go to the library, and we see one Harry Potter book, the new one that just came out, Goblet of Fire. It was right there, one copy for the two of us. Now, we both think, how are we going to split it between the two of us? But Bryan, in a stroke of genius, just straight up takes the book, rips it in half, and this is like a 600-page book, it's thick, just rips it in half with his bare hands, throws half of it at the librarian, and the other half at a child trying to read Clifford, the big red dog. That child died that day.
It's okay, you're among friends now.
But I'll never forget what he told me that day. Clifford should have died a long time ago.
Oh no, I need my team. I need my Spanish.
Adam started it. Oh, keep going.
It's like, I like the Seahawks.
No. When they performed at the halftime thing for the...
What's Shakira doing nowadays? Where's Shakira?
Okay, buy my album on iTunes. Called The Bryan Lambert Experience. Get the ringtone pack too. The ringtone pack comes separate. The ringtone pack is $6, but I think what the ringtone pack's
One Republic is still a thing?
Yeah.
Yep.
My first impression of Bryan, or a story. My first time meeting this kid, I was walking through Ellis, right? Ellis Estate. I don't know if you know where that is. But
I'm familiar with.
Path through the woods, and I saw this thing, some ways ahead of me. Okay, and at first I thought it was a moose, but I wasn't too sure. But it was like just a figure that I was confused. I didn't know what it was. I was like, why is there a moose in Ellis right now? So I was scared. So I turned around, and then when I turned back around, it was like this close to my face, right? And I was like, hi, how are you? He was like, I'm gonna need about $350. All right? And so I gave him the money, and then on my way home, when I got close to my house, he comes back up, and he has Cheetos in his hands, and he's just eating Cheetos. And then he gave me one. He's like, "This is your pay. This is what I'm gonna pay you back with, right?" So that's my story. And
Excuse me. What was your first impression of Bryan Lambert? Done with you.
All right. So I ran into Bryan maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago. We were both living in Brazil at the time. I convinced him that he started going by B-R-I-A-N, but I said, Bryan, you got to get a little more style in his life. So that's how he has the Y now, B-R-Y-A-N. Great guy. He can thank me for his name change, because without it, I think he'd probably still be in Brazil. And at the time, he wasn't doing too well. He's kind of living on the street. So congratulations, Bryan. He's a great guy, but it's all because of me that is where he is, and it's all about the why. God bless.
Bryan Lambert is the weirdest person that I know, but he's also a fantastic gentleman. He once in my bio class last year tied his own belt around his neck and stood up on a stool and looked at me, and he held the thing up and he goes, "Ben, I'm so sorry," and jumps off the stool and pretends to hang himself because he hated that class. And then Miss Pitts came in, and there are some stories about that too. There once was a time when there was swamp water in that class, and Bryan decided it would be a good idea to make the biggest splash possible and spilled it all over the floor. And then we had to clean it up. But he didn't clean any of it up, and it was just me and Bobby cleaning it up. And that's one of my stories about Bryan. There are many others that could be told. Oh God. Every time I see him, I just want to give him a big old hug, and usually I do. His oh God, I don't even know. His bony exterior is just fantastic. I don't know. He's so easy to pick up, and he's fun to throw. I don't know. Bryan Lambert's a great kid.
I want them back. What if they're cold and frightened? It was chilly tonight. What if they spent the night cold and hungry?
We'll find a home for them, Bryan, don't worry.
Only home is my home.
The thing that impresses me the most about Bryan has the heart of a champion. He never gives up. He always works hard. And in my 17 years of teaching, the beat, beat, beat of his heart has set the tone for every class he's been in with me.
Okay, let's see. I first met Bryan back probably freshman year. I didn't know who he was. He was the tall kid, and he had one kidney. That's pretty much all I knew. I knew if I punched him in the kidney, he would die, so I stood away from that. Then I got to know him last year, or maybe the year before, and he is just a fabulous kid. Charming, handsome, all of the attributes you would ever need to just have a perfect human being. He's probably grade A. If you could go higher, I would rank him higher. But that's my impression of Bryan. Wonderful man, beautiful body. Yeah, I got one. Last year in math class, we were bored in Mr. Ford's room, so he started looking through all of the Justin Bieber calendars and examining each and every picture of Justin Bieber for a very long time. There are pictures of him just flipping through, looking at the beeps, and it was a good memory.
What?
Sounds like on Sean.
I'm actually probably better calling you. I don't think you are, because you have to have buns to work. Do you seriously don't have buns? That's it.
Right there, is it?
Yeah, that one did.
Bryan has hung out a lot in this music room. He comes down here, and I've been really impressed with his improvement on the guitar since he started coming here. Like now, he knows how to hold it. It was backwards for a long time. He now knows how to hold it, and he has a very, very intense look on his face when he's playing. Like, it's just amazing.
I met Bryan Lambert this year as a senior. However, my first memories of him were as a freshman, because Bryan used to come walking by my door quite frequently, more than one time a day, and tell me how much he enjoyed pickles. And so that lasted freshman year, and I did not see him again until senior year, where I officially met him. And he's a student in my Epic Hero class. He sits right there. He's an interesting person. And I met his mom at open house. She was very nice. And I enjoy having Bryan in class.
I've known Bryan Lambert since probably around 5th grade because I knew him through rec basketball, or I just knew of him. But this just weird story I have about him was one day, like probably like a year ago, I stayed at his house, and